Hi everybody and welcome to another exciting edition of Boring JavaScript. I'm your host, the Virtuoid, aka Mike Smith, and today we're taking a look at the Singleton Pattern. What is a Singleton Pattern? Well, a Singleton Pattern is a specific way to instantiate classes in which there is only one existence of that class within the entire application. So if an application said new whatever, then that whatever will be created one time and one time only. So if other pieces of the application also try to say one whatever, then those other applications will be accessed in the same instance as that first created instance. For example, suppose we had an application that had three individual pieces in it, three individual modules that each had to access a new instance of a particular class, a database service, for example. And so each one will instantiate it by using the new keyword, and each one would have access to the database. But therein lies a problem. What if all three of those instances accessed the same database? We could have collisions, we could have race conditions, we could have a whole bunch of different possible problems that could occur with multiple instances accessing the same database. So the solution to this is to use the Singleton pattern. And the Singleton pattern basically says, okay, the first person who tries to access this particular database class will create a new instance of it, but anybody else that comes in afterwards will then use that exact same instance. So from the application point of view, they're still saying new database, again, for example, but they're getting an instance that was already created. And this allows this one instance of the class to talk to the database and to eliminate any possible collisions or problems that could occur if multiple instances were talking to this particular database. You want to see how it works? Let's get started. So let's take a look at an example. I have three zoos, Zoo Virtuoid, Zoo Angel, and Zoo Holly, that are creating new instances of a zoo. And then with each one of these zoos, we're going to immediately populate it with three different animals by telling the zoo that, hey, we want to receive a new animal. And then once we're finished with those three, we're going to show the zoo. And that's just going to do a console.log on the display. I mean, that's it. There's nothing a whole lot to it. So let's take a look at the zoo example. The zoo example is going to import a class called animal delivery. This animal delivery is, let's just say, some sort of distribution center for delivering animals to the different zoos. And so our class is here, is no big deal here. When we construct it, we're going to construct it with saying that we're going to get an instance of a new animal delivery. And this creates an initial connection to an animal delivery class, which will be responsible for delivering our animals. And then we're just, set the name, set the animals, receive the animals, we just do a push to the array that calls the delivery service to get an animal. And then the show zoo just logs it out. So what about our animal delivery class? So here's our animal delivery class. We start off with our animal collection here, which notice it's a constant that is outside of the class, so it is available only to this animal delivery class. So let's go down to our code. And when we construct it, we just apply a unique ID, which I'm just randomizing number between 0 and 9,999. Our getAnimal method, which is called from the zoo here, which is how we receive our animals, is simply just randomizing the length of how many animals I have here and just returning that particular animal. I mean, that's no big deal there. And then since we have a private variable here for service ID, we're using a getter function to get the delivery ID. Yeah, this is no big deal. So zoo does the animal delivery class, or instantiates the animal delivery class. The animal delivery class grabs us an animal. So let's take a look at it in JavaScript, in Node. And let's see what happens. So we'll type in node singleton. And there we are. Virtuoid Zoo has these three animals. My Angel Zoo has these three animals. My Holly Zoo has these three animals. I want you to notice something here. Notice this number here, 7722, 2990, and 6145. This is the unique ID that has been assigned to each animal delivery instance. Notice all three of them are different. So we have an instance of animal delivery within this zoo, our Virtuoid Zoo, another within the Animal Zoo, another within the Holly Zoo. But if you notice, if we go back to our code, they're all accessing the same database. So that could be a problem. If we conceptualize this a little bit more, if we try to go outside the realm of our very simple example here and try to access a database, there is absolutely no way that one animal delivery service or one animal delivery instance associated with any zoo is going to know what the other animal delivery instance is going to be associated with the zoo. So there's a possibility that if we were delivering unique animals, which we aren't in this example, but if we're delivering unique animals, then two zoos could request the same animal at the same time, and then we can cause all sorts of confusion. Well, the Singleton instance solves that problem. So let's bring up the code and show you how we can turn animal delivery into a Singleton instance. And through the magic of a cut in our video, here it is. Two very important changes have been made. First of all, we have outside of the class definition an animal delivery instance value. And this is very, very critical, because what's going to happen here is that once the very first instance is created, it's going to populate animal delivery instance with the instance that was created. And so what happens is that when we do the constructor, we first check to make sure if animal delivery instance is got something in it or not. So by just using the simple not there, it basically says, hey, you know, if you're null or if you're undefined or for some reason you're equated to a falsy statement, then we need to create the instance. And to do that, we first of all create, just like we did before, our delivery service ID. But the important thing is that we populate animal delivery instance with this. And that now populates the animal delivery instance with the current this value, which is the instantiated value for our animal delivery Singleton instance. And what we're doing is that we are now returning the animal delivery instance. We're not just doing blind, because if on a constructor, if there's no return statement, what is returned by default is this. That's why you've never really had to do a return for a constructor. But now we're doing a return in constructor. We're saying that, hey, we're going to be using animal delivery instance here instead of this. And that's going to be very important. So for first time through, animal delivery instance is going to be null. So when we go to constructor, if it is null, we set our delivery service ID, we set animal delivery instance to this, and return just animal delivery instance. And I just noticed I don't have a semicolon. I like semicolons. So we've got the return animal delivery instance there. The second time through, the second zoo that instantiates animal delivery, it's going to come in here in constructor and say, if animal delivery instance is falsy, it's not, it's truthy. So it's just going to skip and return animal delivery instance. So again, the first zoo that instantiates animal delivery will get a real live instance. But any other one, the second through the 1,000,000th who instantiates this class, will always get the value of animal delivery instance. And what that does for us is now we have one single instance that all of the other components or all the other modules will access. This is the definition of a Singleton instance, where only one and one only instance can exist within the application. All the rest of this is the exact same code, works exactly the same. So now within the zoo, in our Singleton instance, Zoo Virtuoid is going to first create. Zoo's going to come here and say new animal. What's it going to get? It's going to get this instance. It's going to get that first instance because it's the first one to create. Second time through, Zoo Angel is going to come in and say, hey, how about my animal delivery? What's my new animal delivery? What we're going to return is the other instance each and every single time. First time we create the new instance completely. The second time through, whatever, we return the old instance. So Zoo Virtuoid, Zoo Angel, and Zoo Ollie should now all have the exact same instance, but the program works exactly the same. So if we flip over to Node and we type in Node Singleton, now notice our IDs 4679, 4679, 4679. So although from the point of view of the application, it's always getting a new animal delivery, the animal delivery is always returning its own single instance. And what's the great advantage to that? Well, the great advantage now is that there's only one instance that is controlling access to this particular database. So if we're being really fancy schmancy with this database, everything will go through this instance, and we've pretty much eliminated race conditions. We've eliminated any kind of collisions or anything like that, because only one instance is controlling access to the database. A lot of services that are built for applications are built upon the concept of Singleton instances. When you get access to that database, you don't access the database straight, you access the service. And anybody who is within the application will always access the service. So in conclusion, it's very simple. Anytime we have a class is doing a new instantiation of our singleton instance, which is what happens here at line number 9, all we have to do is the very first time grab the value of this, but save it off as a variable that we're the only ones who can access. And what do we return? We always return the instance that we created beforehand. We never return this. And that's all there is to being able to do a singleton. It's a very powerful pattern that you can use to help streamline your code and help control access to very important things like databases. And that's all there is to the singleton pattern. I hope you enjoyed our video. Hope I didn't bore you to death. Please make sure you click on the like button below and subscribe to this channel for more boring JavaScript videos. Also, you can see everything that we do at www.boringjavascript.com. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you later.